Okay, I'm gonna do a oil change here. This is a 2012 Nissan Altima 2.5 4-cylinder. Takes about 4 to 4.5 quarts of oil. I'm gonna use the Mobil 1 synthetic. Right there. That's the oil filter that you're gonna want. The M1 110 Alpha or 108 Alpha also works. Just one's a little longer than the other. So first thing I'm gonna do is open this up where you pour the oil in. Pull the dipstick out a little bit. That allows the pull air in here when you're draining the oil out the bottom, so it'll drain a little bit faster. Next thing we're gonna do is take off this tire, jack car up, take tire off, and then we'll be able to access the oil filter from there. Wheels off. Some of the tools you're gonna need. Just use this little screwdriver. Pop loose these guys right here, because I'm gonna take this panel off to get to the oil filter back there. Funnel, oil filter wrench, something to catch your oil in, something to store it in, some rags, jack stand. Under here, already got the wrench on it. See, this is a 9/16 inch wrench. That'll take off your plug right there from the oil pan. This is like looking at the front of the vehicle. Oil pan on the left side of the exhaust. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this panel off so you can get a look at the oil filter. Alright, there's the oil filter. I just took that little panel off right there. And there's the oil filter. We're gonna take that bad boy off, put the new one on, after we, of course, drain the oil. So we're gonna go under there and drain the oil now. Alright, so got the oil draining. Got the drain plug out. Always want to have a few rags around to clean that crap up. So I don't want to drip all over the place. Make sure you clean your oil plug up real good before you put it back in. You want to make sure there's no dirt or sand or anything around here. Always want to inspect that gasket too. Be sure it's not torn up, because you will get an oil leak with a bad gasket there. Remember, never tighten this too tight. You put it in, tighten it down with a wrench, just snug it real good. Don't ever tighten it, because you can strip the threads on it, or tighten it too deep into the oil pan, and then getting that thing back off is going to be a pain in the butt. Yeah, let's get some of that good oil drain right there. And just make sure it catches everything. Wouldn't advise doing this on a windy day, because it'll blow it all over the place. And get a good calm day. So next we're going to pull the oil filter off, because we can pull the oil filter off while this is draining. This is going to be a pretty easy job. Got an oil filter wrench right here. It's going to fit that filter real good. We're going to be turning it that way. So I'm going to take your oil filter wrench, and because it's so tight in here, you got to kind of slide it up there and then put it on the filter. Get a grip on it. Start turning it little bits at a time. Get to where you can hand turn it. Now we're not going to unloosen it all the way, because it's going to start dripping oil out of there. So now that we got it loose, we're going to go back down, check on that right there. Once that's dripped out enough, or good enough with all that out of there, we're going to put the plug back in. Then we can move the oil drain pan over here to catch whatever oil is going to fall out from the filter. Pay no attention to that over there. Okay, we put the plug back in, wiped everything down real good. Now we're going to take off the filter. So you're going to start loosening the filter with your hand after you broke it loose, and you see all that oil is going to pour out of there. Just kind of got to make sure it catches it all. Once you're done, you have to wipe all that down anyway, so. Drain the last little bit out. See, it's pouring out all over the place now. Like running down the side there. Once you get that filter out, put it on something so it doesn't drip all over your floor. Just gonna let this drain for a minute. It's gonna get all the rest of the stuff out of there. And just kind of wiping around the edges and get the rest of that dirt and grime and crap off of there. This is scoring. You're not gonna be able to get that off of there. If you feel so inclined to sand it down, some really light grit sandpaper to get rid of that, I guess go ahead, but as long as it's not leaking, you don't really have anything to worry about. You just want to make sure that you always clean it real good before you marry the new filter up to it. And that little bit of oil there's fine. So this was the 108 Alpha oil filter. Ugh, that damn oil filter coming apart. Right there, all I got is the 110 Alpha. There's just a little bit of size difference. One will just hold more oil than the other, but see, they're both approved for this vehicle. One just holds a little more oil than the other. So once that's pretty well drained up, it doesn't look like it's really dripping too much anymore. And kind of clean this up a little bit. I don't want that oil everywhere. They're cleaning that part up, and the rest of it looks like holy hell back there. It's just from a blown out CV boot. That's what you get for living the low life. Lower your car. Sometimes your CV boots can't hang, so you end up with that. So I'm going to be changing these axles here real soon. But that's a video for another day. So right now we're going to work on the oil filter. So we're going to take a little bit of this oil right here, put it on that gasket right there. I'm going to do this, it keeps it from sticking. Keep the rubber from sticking to the block. Once you got that done, put it right on there and tighten that bad boy up. It's pretty good right there. And you can take the oil filter wrench and give it like another quarter turn. But it's not necessary to really tighten that thing down that much, because you can tear up the threads. It'll get seized on there, and then you won't be able to get it back off. You got to drive a screwdriver through the damn thing and try to turn it, and it's ugly. You don't want to mess with that. So we got the filter on, we got the plug back in, got the oil drained out of it. Now all we need to do is put oil back in the car and then crank it up. I will tell you, in the years I've owned this car, I've learned to invest in these little bad boys right here, especially when you're doing oil changes, because you have to, you know, remove this piece and put them in, take them out, put them in, take them out, and they get brittle from the heat and they break, and then they're trashed. So if you don't want to lose this panel, good thing to do is to go out and buy just a little pack of these little fasteners. They're not very expensive, but they'll be your best friend, because Nissan decided to use them everywhere on these cars. I mean, they're all over the damn place. They're up here too. You'll find them all up underneath your hood, all over the place. So I would invest in them, but that's just me. So this is the oil we're going to put in. This is 5 quarts. It's going to take about 4.5 of this, maybe a little more. You get about 4 quarts in, you know, check it on the back here, but you get about 4 quarts in, let it set for a little bit, and then check your oil level there. This is actually like a coolant type funnel. but it works great because it fits perfectly down in there. That hole right there fits perfectly in there. So it doesn't flop around while you're trying to pour oil in it, which is nice. So we're gonna go ahead and pour the oil in this bad boy. So as you can see, I got about 4 quarts in there. Right around 4 quarts in there right now. Not perfectly level, but whatever. It's about 4 quarts in there. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and put the tire back on, put the car back on the ground, let it get level. That'll give it time for the oil to settle in the pan, and then we're gonna check the oil level after that. Okay, so we put the tire back on, car's back on the ground. Come over here, put our cap back on for our oil fill. We checked the oil once, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at it again. And you can see where the oil's sitting. Right about there. As long as it's between that dot and that dot, you're good. So once you start up the car and let it run for a minute, it's going to suck some of that oil into the filter, so that'll probably drop off a little bit, but as long as you're between those 2 dots, you're good. And that's about it. So that all in all took maybe 15-20 minutes at the most. Took a little longer because I was trying to make a video while I was doing it, but anyway, here's some of the stuff you're going to need. You're going to need the oil filter wrench. So it's 2 1/4 to 2 3/4 inch oil filter wrench. Right there. Funnel. Like I said, I used a coolant funnel because the hole's bigger and it fits just perfectly in there. Jackstand, jack, 9/16 inch wrench for your drain plug. Flathead little screwdriver. There's little plastic clips in there. I use a 13/16 inch ratchet for the lug nuts. Something to catch the oil in, something to dispose of it in. We used this Mobil 1 high mileage 5W30. I got like 80,000 miles on this car. And that was the filter we used. Remember, you can use the 110 alpha or you can use the 108 alpha. Either one works. Remember, always dispose of your oil and filter properly. Don't pour it out in your backyard like a jackass. Take it to your local auto parts store. They'll let you dump it for free. They'll take your oil filter too. And that's it.